Hello, Nilesh. This is Nilesh, everybody, and he is going to tell us a little bit about. Can you tell us a little bit about your family? Tell us about where you grew up. What's your story in life? How you came to know Jesus. Tell us about your family. Tell us all of that, please. That would be great.
All right, wonderful. Well, it's wonderful to be here. I'm Nilesh, as he said, and I'm here today with my wife Disa, who's at the back there, and we're here with our baby Lydia. She's 7 months old, and we have two boys, Aaron and Isaac. They're with their grandma in London. And a little bit about me. I grew up in Bexley, southeast London. And I grew up in a little bit of a troubled household, actually. My father had drinking problems, and I had a lot of issues and fears and different things, struggles growing up. And it was actually at a conference like this when I was 18 at a big Bible week called Stoneleigh. And I felt very detached from God. I felt very disconnected from people. And it was during that time that I remember calling out to Jesus. And just the love of God invaded my heart, invaded my life. And I just knew the love of the Father. And this God who once seemed so far away came near. And I realized that God not only loved me, but he had a wonderful purpose in my life where I had felt so directionless, and God just kind of came near. And that was when I was 18 years old. And then I went to university in Canterbury. Who's here from City Church Canterbury?
There's
Anyone
a few.
here? Great to see you guys. And that really was a time of God just really grounding me in his love, in his identity as a child of God. And it was at the end of my time at university, I did a internship called Frontier Year Project, which was a practical internship working with the homeless in Bedford, but also doing some theological study as well. And I just started to get stirred about the nations. So God started to speak to me about the nations. I didn't know it was going to be Japan at that time, but I knew that God would one day send me somewhere. Yeah.
Wow, that is already encouraging. We haven't even got to the bit about going to Japan yet. So there's a few things there. You came from a home there was some brokenness there. God got a hold of you at 18. So many of these young people here will be 18, 19, 20, that kind of age, and you just knew the love of God poured into your heart. But you needed to get grounded in some truth, as you did at church in Canterbury, and then you gave yourself to doing a year. Now, we actually have a little bit of an early plug here for ID, which is a little bit of like the modern-day equivalent of what Nilesh has just expressed there about the Frontier Year Project. So ID, Intentional Discipleship, is an opportunity where you can spend a year serving a church, getting grounded in fantastic teaching, along with others who are doing ID in various different churches. We'll hear much more about that tomorrow. But after this session, you can actually go over to that big banner over there and find out more about that, because that was quite helpful for you, right? To get that kind of grounding. So God was stirring something in your heart about the nations. How on earth did a guy from Bixley end up in Japan? What's the story there? And by the way, I think we actually have got a picture of Nilesh's family. We can just see a picture. If you can load it up. Here we go. Look at them.
There we go.
That is a cute family right there.
There you go. So,
that is 100 cute points right there.
So that's Aaron on the left, then Isaac in the middle, and then Lydia on the right side.
Fantastic. Beautiful. So tell us, how did you end up in Japan? What's the story there?
A little bit of a crazy story, actually. I, towards the end of doing Frontier Year Project and then working with the homeless, I just felt God starting to say to me, get ready, get prepared. So I decided to do something called a TESOL, teaching English as a second language. I went to Bournemouth and I did a project with the ITN network doing the TESOL. And it was during that time that God really started to hone in on Japan through just lots of different things happening. But I still needed some assurance from God. So I remember one day at the end of the course saying, God, it feels like you're calling me to this nation. Would you just bring a bit of clarity to that? Would you give a confirmation, actually? And I went to the library one day and I was working on an assignment and my computer screen went blank, which was a bit odd. And so I looked at the computer next to me and their computer was still on. I was like, why has my computer gone blank and theirs on? That was really weird. But anyway, on their screen, they had TESOL stuff on the screen. So I got into the conversation with the lady next to me about doing TESOL, and she said to me, "Oh, I've just been to Japan teaching English." I was like, "Wow, that's interesting. I've been asking God about that." And she said, "You should definitely go to Japan." And if that wasn't enough, at that very moment, there was a guy walking behind us who stopped and said, "Were you guys just talking about Japan? If you're thinking about going to Japan, you have definitely got to go to Japan."
Wow.
So I got a double confirmation then. And so I found out about a church plant in Nagoya led by Tom and Julie Eaton and their family. And actually Jess she was just knee-high when I first met her. So she's over there and she was part of that church plant, Grace City Church, yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool. I mean, tonight we're going to be spending some time thinking about how we hear from God, and we're going to have some time to prophesy over one another and to step out into that. That might sound quite scary for some of you, but trust me, we're going to be well equipped tonight on that. But God speaks in various ways. That is a remarkable thing that would happen. So you went over to Japan, you started to teach English, and then at some point you got married? What's the deal there? How did that happen?
So, yeah, I met Lisa. I was preaching at a church down the road, and Lisa was the translator, and we didn't kind of get together immediately, but I think a year later I was praying and God brought Lisa to my mind and got in contact. We started dating, and here we are. We're married.
Fantastic. The old translation one, I like that. That's good. I like it. That's really cool. So now you are leading a church plant which is really growing and God's doing wonderful things. Tell us about that. Tell us about what some of the encouraging things that God is doing.
Yeah, so we started Community Church
got some
Nagoya,
pictures actually, yeah.
Yeah, which is just coming up. And we're just a small church plant, about 15, 16 of us at the moment, very kind of intimate feel. If you go back to that picture, yeah. And including Lisa's parents are also part of the church. And the encouraging thing about this church plant is a lot of the people you see in the picture are people that are fresh out of the harvest, who've only been saved a few years,
Wow.
who've come through, been baptized, and really growing strong in the faith. In fact, 2 of them got saved just in the last 2-3 years, just got married just a few months ago. So that was encouragement to marry them as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So can you tell us the name of the church? What are some of the things that we can be praying for right now, and any opportunities that we might have open to us?
Absolutely. So that's called Community Church Nagoya. And so, yeah, please do be praying for that. Please pray that church will continue to grow healthily and that we would establish an eldership in the church. Also, I started a business 10 years ago, which is an English and Japanese school. And please pray for that business that sustains my family. And then a couple of years ago, we started an internship called Activate in Nagoya. And so we're just launching that, really. This year, we've had 2 guys come and join us for the 1-year internship, and about 5 people join us for 3-month kind of mini internship as well. And it's been really encouraging to see what God's been doing through that, as we've been starting to launch campus outreach through our global cafe, building friendships with Japanese people, and actually a couple of weeks ago we saw a baptism as a result of that as well. Wow. So,
that's
fantastic.
Maybe
we've got a picture of the baptism.
Yeah, I think we may well have. We could flick through the pictures.
Yeah. There we go. And so the guy on the left, his name is Service. He's with us on the 1-year internship. He came out this year, and he actually made friends with this guy, and he got baptized just recently, a local student.
That's superb. How exciting is that? In another part of the world, God's doing incredible things. And so there is an opportunity here, as Nilesh has just shared, for you to go out to Japan for either 3 months or for a year. Maybe your heart has been beating quite fast, even as you heard me say, we're going to hear from someone who's in Japan. If that is you, I'm not going to ask you to stand up or anything like that, but I really would ask you to please make a connection with Nilesh or with Lisa over these days, and just start to talk about that. That doesn't mean you're signing up to it. It just means you're asking questions, and these guys can give you more information about that. I think we would love to pray and own these guys' mission in our hearts as well. You know, when we pray for stuff, God not only hears our prayers and responds to our prayers, but he does something in our hearts as well. And so maybe you've not even given two thoughts to the nation of Japan before, but actually, as you've heard from Nilesh here, God's doing something in that wonderful nation, in the city of Nagoya. And again, I would just want to urge you, we're going to pray for these guys in a minute. I wonder if it's possible, if Lisa could come forward as well. We can pray if she's got, great. And we can pray for you guys together. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, Nilesh, before we pray?
No, I think that's right. Just one other thing. I think sometimes we can have a mindset of God could never use me in this way, or I could never connect with people from a foreign land, or you have those hang-ups and things. I feel like sometimes it takes that step of faith just to go and expect God to prepare you along the way, and not to allow those fears and things to hold you back from what God's called you to.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's sound advice for all of us. Wherever we might end up. But here's a boy from Bixley who's now in Japan. And God's using him to reach people in another culture. So